Hello, friends. Welcome back to part 2 of your reading lesson today. I hope you enjoyed digging deeper into Cinderella's character in part 1. Now, in part 2, we're going to do something similar or the same. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into the character of the godmother. But this time, we're going to talk about it a little bit different. We're going to talk about it as like it's an opinion, something that you think. So, after you watch the video with Miss Spears, just like you did with Cinderella, you're going to write a sentence about the godmother using the evidence that you found in the parts of the book that you read with Miss Spears in part 2. Let's take a look at the next slide. It says, insert a picture of your sentence you wrote in your notebook about the godmother, or type it in the box below. Your sentence stem says, I think the godmother is. So, what do you notice that's different between this sentence and this sentence? Tell your learning partner, what do you notice that's different between this sentence that says, Cinderella is blank, and this sentence that says, I think the godmother is blank? All right, did you tell your learning partner? I hope what we said that we notice is that this sentence has, I think the godmother is. So you're turning it into an opinion statement by saying, I think. Now, in this sentence, we're just saying Cinderella is this. This is not what we think. This is just how she is. But then in this sentence, we're saying, I think the godmother is, because that's my opinion. So now it is your turn to work with Miss Spears, reading some different parts of the text where we're going to talk, I made a weird voice. We're going to talk about what kind of character the godmother is. What kind of person is she? Just like we talked about Cinderella. You're going to hear Miss Spears use the word infer a lot. Infer means just to guess. It means to take the information that's in front of us and think about it, and by informing our own opinion or guessing what we think that means. So it is your turn to talk to Miss Spears, or to work with Miss Spears. And when you're done, don't forget to write what you think the godmother is. Okay? All right, friends, I hope you have a great day. Don't forget to do your fluency. It's day 3 for fluency. So there will be a little voice message there for you to listen to what the goal is, but just don't forget to do it, okay? Have a great day. See you soon.
All right, friends, now we're going to go back to thinking about this question. How does considering evidence to form an opinion work? So what you are going to do is you're going to now gather evidence about another character in order to form an opinion about what she is like. Take a look at the question on the slide. What is Cinderella's godmother like? You are going to be forming an opinion about what Cinderella's fairy godmother or Cinderella's godmother is like. Remember, your opinions should be based on evidence. So just like you did for Cinderella, you're going to gather evidence about what Cinderella's godmother does and says. Then you're going to use that evidence to decide what you think the fairy godmother or Cinderella's godmother is like. Okay, listen closely as I read another passage from the text. You wish to go to the ball? Is it not so? Oh, yes, sighed Cinderella. Well, just be a good girl, said her godmother, and I'll see that you go. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to quickly act out what the fairy godmother is doing and saying. Did you act it out? Now what I'd like you to do is use a few words to describe to your learning partner or describe aloud what the fairy godmother is doing in this part of the text. I wish I could have heard what you described to your learning partners, but I'm sure that you said the fairy godmother is comforting and taking care of Cinderella in this part of the text. Now, based on what you just heard, what does the evidence tell us about the fairy godmother's traits? In other words, what is the fairy godmother like? I want you to use the sentence frame on the slide as you share your response with your learning partner. And the sentence frame is, I think the godmother is. Are you ready? Share what the fairy godmother is like with your learning partner. And don't forget to use the sentence frame on the screen. Did you share? Here's something I would have said. I might have said, I think the godmother is kind, or I think the godmother is helpful. Is that similar to what you shared? All right, let's keep going. I want you to listen carefully as I read another passage from the text. And as each mouse scampered out, the fairy godmother tapped him with her wand. Each mouse instantly turned into a handsome, spirited horse. All right, friends, I want you to act out what the fairy godmother is doing in this part of the text. Did you act out how the fairy godmother is using her wand to turn the mice into horses? So now, what does this evidence tell us about the fairy godmother's traits? In other words, what is the fairy godmother like? Remember, use the sentence frame on the slide as you share your response with your learning partner. Are you ready? Share your ideas with your learning partner. Oh, I wish I could have heard what you shared. Here's what I think. I think the godmother is magical. What do you think? All right, listen carefully as I read another passage from the text. Do not stay a moment after midnight. If you do, your coach will turn back into a pumpkin, your horses into mice, your footman into lizards, and your riches into rags. What I'd like you to do now is act out what the fairy godmother is doing and saying. Are you acting it out? Now what I'd like you to do is use a few words to tell your learning partners what the fairy godmother is doing in this part of the text. I am sure you shared that the fairy godmother is warning Cinderella to be home by midnight in this part of the text. Now, what does this evidence tell us about the fairy godmother's traits? In other words, what does it tell us about what the fairy godmother is like? Remember, use the sentence frame on the slide as you share your responses with your learning partner. Are you ready? Share with your learning partner. Here's some of the things that I think, and I wonder if what I think matches what you said. I think the godmother is kind to warn Cinderella about what might happen if she stays too late. I also think the godmother is wise. All right, let's review what we've learned about Cinderella's godmother's traits. We know that when Cinderella's godmother comforts and takes care of Cinderella, that the fairy godmother is kind. And when she uses her wand to turn the mice into horses, we know that the fairy godmother is helpful and magical. And we also learned that when the fairy godmother warned Cinderella to be home by midnight, that she is wise. All right, friends, now what you are going to do is you're going to write an opinion statement based on the evidence that you examined. But first, I want you to think about this question. What do you think the fairy godmother is like in this story? Think. Now, use the sentence frame that you see on the screen to help you. That sentence frame is, I think the godmother is. You ready? Now what I'd like you to do is share your opinion statement with your learning partner or share aloud. Did you share? Now what I'd like you to do is think about this. Is there evidence to support your opinion about the fairy godmother? I want you to put a thumbs up if there is or a thumbs down if there is not. Did you do it? Do you have enough evidence to support your opinion about the fairy godmother? All right, now what I'd like you to do is open your journal and use the sentence frame on your screen to write your opinion statement. I also challenge you to draw a picture of at least one piece of evidence that supports your opinion underneath your opinion statement. And if you don't have time to draw a picture right now, that's okay. You can always go back and do it later. Are you ready? Pause the video now to write your opinion statement of the fairy godmother. All right, awesome first graders. Did you write your opinion statement? If you didn't, I encourage you to go back and do that. Nice job today, continuing to look at evidence about the fairy godmother and thinking more deeply about the character of Cinderella. We will continue with this text the next time, but until then, be kind and do something great because you are capable of greatness.